Hello everyone, today we have a review on linear functions. So most of you have studied this already, so I want to have a more systematic review of linear functions before we move on to other chapters. So what you really need to know is that when we talk about linear function, we have the standard form. Okay, so the standard form for linear function would be ax plus by equal to c. Okay, so in this case, a and b are coefficients and c is constants. So a, b we call coefficients, and c is a constant, any number. Okay, constant, any number. Now, this form is, even though this is a standard form, is not readily used for several reasons. One is that when you graph this, it's a little bit difficult to graph this. So we usually talk about two other forms. One is slope-intercept form, and the other one is point-slope form. Okay. So slope-intercept form, of course, there's a common ground here. The common here is the slope. So both form has to have slope. Okay. Now, a reminder: what is a slope? Slope is defined as the ratio between the change in y to the change in x. Okay, so this is a ratio. The change in y over change in x. So specifically, you have y2 minus y1 equal to x2 minus x1. Okay, graphically, when you use this definition for graphing a linear function, you would have interpret this as a change in y. So this would be rise over the change in x, which is overrun. We'll talk about this later when we review graphing. So slope-intercept form is y equal to mx plus b. So m is defined as our slope, and b is our y-intercept. Okay. When we talk about the intercept, so let's review. We have a coordinate like this. This is called Cartesian coordinates. We have O, which is the origins, and then we have this OX here, which is called horizontal axis, and OY here is called vertical line or vertical axis. All right. So whatever happened on this axis here we call horizontal, and whatever happened here on the OY axis we call vertical. Okay, so the intercept is what? Intercept is anything that cuts the OX or OY. So for instance, when I say this, if I have this line here, okay, if suppose I have this line here, so where would be my y-intercept? My y-intercept would be here, this point here, right? Because this is where the line cuts the OY at this point. Okay, so y-intercept, for the y-intercept, if you look at this point further, where is the x coordinate here? So if you find the x-axis for this point, the x-axis would be 0. So x for y-intercept, x will be 0, and this one would be y. Okay, the same thing here. This line cuts the OX at this point, so this would be called x-intercept. Okay, this would be x-intercept, and again at this point we would have the x value, and y would be equal to what? Y would be equal to 0. So you need to remember this very Well, so the slope-intercept form would be equal to y equal to mx plus b. Okay, now let's try to graph. Let's try to graph intercept y-intercept form. Okay, so let's say that if I want to graph, let's say y equal to mx plus b, slope point, slope-intercept form. Now you have the intercept here. Okay, so again, just to remind you that in order to have a line like this, you only need to know 2 points. All right, you only need to know 2 points, and then the line will cross these 2 points. We make the line. So what happened is that you will need 2 points. So the first point is given here already, right? Because this is a y-intercept. This is y-intercept here. So the x-axis will be 0 and y-axis will be y. And then the slope, again in this one we will use the concept rise over run. Okay, the definition of slope to find out. So specifically, if I have y equal to 2x plus, let's say 2x plus 1 in this, okay, so I'll try to graph. I'll have my O x y here, okay, and this is my y-intercept here. Okay, so let's say that if I have this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, okay, and this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So what y-intercept would be 1, so this is my point. The first point is this one over here, and then you have slope m equal to 2. In this case, the definition is rise over run. Okay, so I can express my number 2 as a ratio by 2 divided by 1 here. Okay, so that means that from this point here, to find another point, I would move up 2. So from this point, I move up 1, 2, and then I move to the right 1 unit. So that this would be my second point. And then the line that crosses through these 2 points would be my graph y equal to 2x plus 1 here. Okay, so there is a that is a concern for about the plus and minus. So for example, rise has to do with the y-axis and run has to do with the x-axis. So to make this matter simpler, we only concern about the plus or minus on the on the denominator. So for example, on the top, so for example, if I have slope equal to 3, okay, then I would rewrite this as 3 over 1. So 3 is positive number, so go up 3, and then always go to the right 1 unit. Okay, so always go to the one unit. So let me see. All right. So go from the slope intercept, go up 3, and then you go to the right 1 unit. Now what happens if I have slope equal to minus slope equal to negative 4 over 2, 3, okay, 3. So what happens is that you see this is a negative number. So how are we going to resolve this? So we interpret the number negative here, we will bring it into for the top, so it would be negative 4 over 3. So make the denominators always positive. Okay, so again, in this case, if positive is going up, negative will go down. Okay, so in this case, from the intercept, for y-intercept, I will go down 4 units, and then from that I will go right 3 units. So to make this matter simpler, you would you would always go to the right, okay, for our axis. So that is a quick review for how to graph y equal to mx plus b. Now what happens if my slope is negative? So let's think about this. For y equal to mx plus b, now if m is positive, then the graph will increase. Okay, I will have an increased graph, so it will go up like this. But then what happens if m is negative? Then I would have a decreased graph, so my graph would be going down. like this. So if you graph and you see that, you know, if your slope is positive, but then somehow your graph is something like this, going down like this, then there must be something wrong. All right, so let's go back to the second type of linear function, which is a linear form, which is a point slope form. Now what happened is that, you know, for this slope intercept form, you're given slope and then you're given a y-intercept. Now the other case is when you have a slope. Okay, so let's say that you have a slope m, and then your line goes through a point. Okay, a point, you already know point. So let's say this is x1, y1. Okay, so you have the slope, which is a vector of your line, and then this line goes through the point, which you already know the coordinate. So how to write the point slope form? In this case, you would have your point slope form would be y minus y1 equal to m, which is the slope, times x minus x1. Okay, so y1 x1 here is the coordinates for x1 y1, which is your point, the point that the line goes through. Okay, so be careful of the negative part here, because the sign here is negative, right? So minus y1 minus x1. So let's say that I have, for example, if I have y minus 4 equal to 3 times x minus 1, then I would have to divide, this is my slope, 3, okay, so this is a slope. Alright, how about my x1? Alright, x1 is this. Okay, so x1 is this. And is this minus or minus 1 or 1? It is 1, okay, plus 1. And then y1 equal to 4. So remember that. Now, if the sign here in front of the number is negative, then you would keep the same number here. Okay, so what happened if I have y minus 3 equal to minus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, so in this case, slope equal to whatever number in front of the bracket here, so which is negative 2. Then x1 is a little bit tricky, so x1 would be, you see the positive here? Okay, so positive here, so you have to change the number, the sign of this number. So if you see the positive in front of the number, then you have to change the sign to negative 1, so which is negative 3, and y1 equal to 3. Okay, another example, and okay, so let's see. Some people would ask why is this? So again, you know, so let's say y equal to 3 equal to negative 2 times x. And remember our standard, our form is what? Minus, right? Minus, and then we have minus 3. You see? So minus minus will turn this into the plus. So this is just a kind of like manipulation that you need to know. All right, now let's consider another problem. So an example. So let's say that I have y plus 4 equal to 2 over 3 times x plus 4. So in this case, my slope equal to 2 over 3. Alright, x1 equal to, again, this is positive, so my x1 would be negative 4, and y1 would be equal to negative 4 because of the change in the sign here. So now, what happens if we want to graph a point slope form? So just quickly, so for example, if I have y equal to minus 1 equal to 2 over times x minus 2. So I would identify my x1 as 2, my y1 as 1, sorry, and then my slope is 2. So very quickly I can, you know, again, as long as you can always graph the linear function very easily when you know the slope and the point. So let's say that I have this. So x1 is 2, 2 and y1 is 1, so my point is first point is this one, and then I have 2.